The world was in the grip of a terrible global conflict. This was the Second World War, a truly massive and devastating war. Many nations were engaged in fierce battles across continents. Amidst this turmoil, a deep sense of unease settled upon the scientific community. Scientists, particularly those who had fled persecution in Europe, were very worried. They harbored a specific and growing fear about enemy capabilities. They thought enemy countries might develop a new, super-powerful weapon. This concern was a heavy burden on their minds. The main fear was that Nazi Germany would be the first to create such a weapon. This haunting possibility spurred scientists in allied countries to action. They felt an urgent need to understand this new potential power. If such a bomb was possible, they believed it was crucial for their side to develop it first. It was not a desire for aggression, but a reaction to a perceived threat. The thought of Hitler possessing an atomic weapon was terrifying. This made them consider the unthinkable, building their own. So what exactly is a nuclear bomb, you might ask? In simple terms, it is an extremely powerful explosive device. Its destructive force comes from nuclear reactions. These reactions release a tremendous amount of energy from a small amount of matter. This energy is millions of times greater than that released by traditional chemical explosives like TNT. Imagine the smallest particles of matter, atoms, holding immense locked-up energy. A nuclear bomb is like a key that unlocks this energy all at once, with devastating consequences. The scientific journey towards this began much earlier. Albert Einstein, a name known to all, developed his famous equation E equals mc squared. This equation showed that energy and mass are interchangeable. It suggested a vast amount of energy was hidden within matter. Later, in 1938, German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann made a breakthrough. They discovered nuclear fission by splitting uranium atoms. Physicists Lisa Meitner and Otto Frisch, who had to flee Germany, then correctly interpreted these findings. They explained that splitting atoms released enormous energy and more neutrons, which could split more atoms. The understanding of nuclear fission created great alarm among certain scientists. Leo Szilard, a Hungarian physicist who had conceived the idea of a nuclear chain reaction, was particularly concerned. He understood the terrifying potential for a weapon. He knew that German scientists were also aware of fission. Fearing a German atomic bomb project, Szilard persuaded Albert Einstein to lend his famous name to a crucial warning. Together they drafted a letter. This important letter was addressed to the then President of the United States, Franklin D. Roosevelt, in August 1939. The Einstein-Szilard letter clearly outlined the possibility of constructing extremely powerful bombs of a new type. It warned that a single such bomb, carried by a boat and exploded in a port, might very well destroy the whole port together with some of the surrounding territory. The letter urged the United States government to support nuclear research. President Roosevelt took the warning seriously. He authorized the creation of the Advisory Committee on Uranium. This was the very first step towards the American atomic bomb program, a small beginning to what would become a massive undertaking. As the war intensified and with reports of German interest in heavy water, which is useful for nuclear reactors, the American effort gained momentum. In late 1941, the program was expanded. By 1942, it had transformed into a full-scale, top-secret military endeavor. This huge undertaking came to be known as the Manhattan Project. Its objective was clear and urgent: to produce a functional atomic bomb before the Nazis could. The project would eventually involve hundreds of thousands of people and cost billions of dollars, a truly colossal effort. The Manhattan Project was spread across numerous sites in the United States and Canada. The main scientific research and design laboratory was established in a remote location. This was Los Alamos, New Mexico, chosen for its isolation to ensure secrecy. Other major facilities included Oak Ridge, Tennessee for uranium enrichment and Hanford, Washington for plutonium production. To lead the Los Alamos laboratory, the government chose a brilliant American theoretical physicist, J. Robert Oppenheimer. He was tasked with bringing together the brightest scientific minds to design and build the bomb. His leadership was pivotal. The challenges facing the scientists and engineers of the Manhattan Project were immense. One of the most difficult tasks was producing the fissile materials needed for the bomb. These materials were either a specific type of uranium, uranium-235, or the element plutonium. Uranium-235 is very rare in natural uranium, so it had to be separated and concentrated. This process, called enrichment, required building massive, complex industrial plants like those at Oak Ridge. Similarly, producing plutonium involved constructing large nuclear reactors and chemical separation facilities at Hanford. These were huge industrial feats. The basic principle behind the atomic bomb is a runaway nuclear chain reaction. In a fissile material like uranium-235 or plutonium, when a neutron strikes an atom's nucleus, the nucleus splits. This splitting, or fission, releases a large amount of energy and more neutrons. These new neutrons then cause other atoms to split, and so on, creating a rapidly escalating chain reaction. To make a bomb, a sufficient quantity of fissile material, known as a critical mass, must be brought together very quickly. This results in an explosive release of energy. Two main designs for atomic bombs were developed. The first, simpler design, was the gun-type device. This worked by firing one subcritical piece of uranium-235 into another, like a bullet into a target, to form a critical mass. This design was used for the bomb nicknamed Little Boy. The second, more complex design was the implosion-type device. This used conventional explosives arranged around a subcritical sphere of plutonium. When detonated, these explosives crushed the plutonium core, increasing its density and making it achieve critical mass. This was used for the Fat Man bomb. After years of relentless work, the scientists were ready to test their creation. The first ever test of a nuclear device was codenamed Trinity. It was conducted on July 16, 1945 in the Jornada del Muerto desert in New Mexico. The device tested was an implosion-type bomb. The tension among the observers was palpable. No one was entirely sure what would happen. At 5:29 a.m., the bomb detonated. An intense flash of light, brighter than many suns, illuminated the desert. It was followed by a deafening roar and a rapidly rising mushroom-shaped cloud, reaching miles into the sky. The power was awe-inspiring and terrifying. The successful Trinity test proved the devastating power of the atomic bomb. Just a few weeks later, this new weapon was used in warfare. On August 6, 1945, the United States dropped an atomic bomb, Little Boy, on the Japanese city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, on August 9, a second bomb, Fat Man, was dropped on Nagasaki. The destruction and loss of life in both cities were immense and horrific. These bombings led to Japan's surrender on August 15, 1945, effectively ending World War II. The world was forever changed by these events. The invention and use of the atomic bomb ushered in the nuclear age. It fundamentally altered the nature of warfare and international relations. The sheer destructive capacity of nuclear weapons meant that a full-scale war between major powers could lead to mutual annihilation. This concept became known as mutually assured destruction, or MAD. The post-war era saw the rise of the Cold War, a tense standoff between the United States and the Soviet Union. Both superpowers engaged in a nuclear arms race, building vast arsenals of these weapons. Today, nuclear weapons continue to be a major factor in global security. While the Cold War has ended, several countries possess nuclear arsenals. The primary role of these weapons is often described as deterrence, preventing attack by threatening retaliation. However, the risk of nuclear proliferation, meaning more countries acquiring these weapons, remains a significant concern. There are also fears about nuclear terrorism. International treaties and efforts aim to control the spread of nuclear weapons and promote disarmament, but the challenge is ongoing and complex. In conclusion, the birth of the nuclear bomb was a monumental event in human history. It demonstrated humanity's incredible scientific and technological prowess. However, it also unleashed a force with unprecedented destructive potential. The story of the bomb's creation is filled with brilliant minds, moral dilemmas, and profound consequences. It serves as a stark reminder of the dual nature of scientific discovery. The knowledge gained can be used for great benefit or for immense harm. Managing this power responsibly remains one of the greatest challenges facing humankind.